Kia ora and welcome to Shared Lunch, brought to you by Sharesies. In this bonus episode, we continue our conversation with Outgoing Meridian CEO Neal Barclay as he reflects on his 7 years at the helm of one of our largest companies. We have this conversation at a time when New Zealand faces another uncertain winter around power supply and as prices start to rise for consumers. Before we jump in, here's some important information.
Investing involves risk. You might lose the money you start with. We recommend talking to a licensed financial advisor. We also recommend reading product disclosure documents before deciding to invest. Everything you're about to see and hear is current at the time of recording.
Neal, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Helen.
Just thinking about the last year and given that you are moving on in so a few months' time, would you describe it as the annus horribilis just recently? You said something about taking one for New Zealand in your media release.
Yeah, look, it was an extreme drought last year and it cost us a lot of money to manage through it, but we did what was right. You know, we made sure that we invested money to ensure that there were some physical responses from thermal generators, from companies like the aluminium smelter who could reduce demand, and then we could use that energy for other customers. We paid for all of that, and that ensured that the lights stayed on. So that's an important part of the role that we play as a gentailer in the New Zealand market. We are large, we have the financial capacity to help support the system and New Zealand through significant drought situations like we had last year. But at the same time, we've progressed our development options considerably. We've now got 4 projects coming up to 5 fully consented and ready to build, including Te Rere Hau. We've continued to grow our share of the retail market in New Zealand. So strategically, the business has had a fantastic year. Just a financial hit based on a drought that do come along, and we prepare for them.
What are some of the other things that you've done, I think, for customers? I mean, would this deal, if it goes through, have an effect on them?
Ultimately, yeah, because the more renewables that we build into the system, they have a very low cost, marginal cost. So when they're generating, it's very low cost, and that will drive energy costs down in New Zealand on the whole and on the average over time. It'll take a wee bit of time for that to flow through. Because
aren't we all, most of us are seeing increases in our electricity bill, and that's probably going to take a while. It could be 5% or I think I've seen in some cases.
Yeah, there are some price increases coming through. Most of them are actually coming through the monopoly parts of the business. So lines companies the generators generate the energy and then we sell it to customers at the retail end. You've got all those wires and transformers and things that get it between the generation plant and the customer premises. Because those businesses are largely monopolies, they get regulated by the Commerce Commission. The Commerce Commission sets what their maximum price can be. So the Commerce Commission has had a look at that and put the prices up. We think that needs a bit of looking at, but we're not the experts in that area. So those costs have to get passed on to consumers because there's no way we can absorb them or offset them or become more efficient through them. What we do though is take a long-term view on the cost of energy. So that's our part of the business, what we generate. And whilst generation costs, wholesale generation costs were very high last year, that does not get passed through to consumers because we take a long-term view and we know that once we're through this gas pinch point, we're calling it, once we've got a whole bevy of new renewable generation projects that get delivered probably within the 27, 28, 29 timeframe, that pinch point will be resolved and you'll start to see a moderation in those high wholesale prices again. And then, so we wear the cost in the meantime, if you like, to not put too much burden on the customers.
So you're saying in time, power prices will come down?
Energy costs in New Zealand in time will come down. That's my strong belief. That's what the global trend would tell us. The cost of renewables is coming down. It's now cheaper to build Te Rere Hau or a solar farm in this country than to run an existing gas-fired plant. So it's inevitable. We're just going to build these renewables. It will drive costs down in the long run. And as people electrify their use case, so stop burning petrol in your car and go to an EV, ultimately the cost of powering your vehicles, powering your homes, powering your businesses will come down.
You've got an EV?
Yeah.
Tesla?
No. No, a BMW. And a Mini. My wife's got a little Mini as well. So
yeah. And do people get enough money back, though, from the grid? That's all often a thing.
in terms of
the solar they have,
solar.
and because I've heard people grumble a bit about that. Is that going to change?
It goes through stages at the moment. Meridian's buyback rates are pretty competitive. I shouldn't quote this because it's we're marketing, we're changing prices all the time, but I think it's up around 17 cents. So we're buying energy off people and who have solar on their roofs at that sort of price. But we can build Te Rere Hau for probably something around 8 cents a kilowatt. So it's far more expensive for us to buy it off solar customers than to build a wind farm or build a grid scale solar plant. But what we're trying to do is still support customers who want to build solar on their rooftops, because we think it's still going to be a really important part of decarbonising the whole economy and the whole system. We can't do it all with grid scale generation, so we do need solar on most roofs in this country, and so we're trying to support that through buyback rates and through also coming up with a decent solar proposition that supports customers to build
I think so, because we had that solar company that went bust, didn't we? That was earlier in the year, and I think that's kind of tainted a few people's views on things.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I don't think any of the customers have been left in the lurch, which is really good.
Okay.
But we need to have a look at what went wrong with that business model. There's no need for solar installers to be going broke, I don't think. The business is only going to grow.
Surely we can learn off Australia.
Yeah, we can, and Australia haven't necessarily done it the smart way. So they've invested a lot of subsidy dollars to support customers to build solar. And what that has meant is it's created distortions within their market. So there's actually too much solar in Australia on those sunny days. And it means that the grid scale big coal plants that have to run and can't slow down or speed up when there's a whole bunch of solar being injected into the grid have to keep running and have to pay to run. So you end up getting negative prices. And what that's doing is discouraging the investment in new renewables. So it's really perverse impacts, but it's so sort of unintended consequences you do tend to get when governments and policymakers decide to intervene in a market and decide what they think is going to work best. You're best off letting the economics drive the right activities and allow customers to make informed choices based on the fundamental economics of what's driving things at that time.
Now, Neal, you've been at Meridian, I think it's actually close to 2 decades, if I'm not wrong, and 7 years at the helm. It sounds like there's going to be quite a change for your life coming up. I think you're going to be on the board of Air New Zealand and Chorus. Is there anything else that you're keen to tell us?
Not of any interest. I mean, my wife's looking forward to having some help. We've got a bit of a lifestyle block, 6.5 hectares. There's always stuff to do. I need to upgrade the chainsaw for sure. I love fishing, hunting. I need to do a bit more of that. I'll probably look at another board appointment or two, just so I keep my hand in. But certainly it's a lifestyle change for me. When you're chief executive of a business like Meridian, it takes a lot of effort. It's my 60th birthday this year, so I thought I'd line it up
congratulations.
With that. And hand it over to a young whippersnapper like Mike, who's got heaps of energy.
He has.
And a lot of good ideas.
We had him on the program not so long ago, and I don't think I got a word in edgeways.
No, that'd be right. That'd be right. I never do either. But no, it's great to have a bit of change, fresh injection of ideas and enthusiasm and energy, and the time is right for me to sort of embark on a different stage of my life and career.
So you're still an investor, and I imagine an advisor at some point, if you need to be. I mean, your knowledge.
Look, there's it's not considered good governance in New Zealand for a chief executive to go straight onto the board.
Good point. Yeah.
So there is a sort of a stand down period, but I've said, hey, look, in 3 years' time, if you need another director, I'll be around.
I'll be the one.
I'll be around, and I'll be more than willing because I love the business. It's a fantastic company. It's a fantastic culture. And like I say, the opportunities to support New Zealand to decarbonise there isn't a better one. And the opportunities to grow the business is outstanding as well, whilst supporting our customers, ultimately pay less for the energy. And that's pretty fundamental to what we're trying to achieve at Meridian.
So would that be the most exciting thing you think in that tenure that you've been able to achieve or with the team?
Oh, there's a lot that we've done internally, difficult to go into. A couple of things I'm immensely proud of. Our energy hardship program. We got the board a few years ago to sign off on a $5 million program of work over a couple of years that would allow us to support 5,000 customers in hardship. We know there's more of our customers that are in energy hardship, so we've got to do better, but that was a real step forward. I think we set the standard across all retailers in New Zealand around that and how we support people to be able to afford to pay and keep, for their bills and keep their homes warm and so forth. Like I say, our retail business has grown by more than 60%, and retail in New Zealand has not grown by anything in 15 years. So that's all been market share. We've won market share off other retailers because I think we're doing it better. We care more for our customers. We've got the pricing, service propositions right. We can always improve, and we've got some really exciting ideas and opportunities how to do that, particularly supporting customers to use assets within their home to be able to move their energy around and therefore get cost savings as a result. For example, we've launched a hot water product. So if you allow us to control your hot water cylinder, we'll make sure that you don't have a cold shower in the morning. But we will move the time that water in that cylinder gets heated around to fit better within low price periods of the day. Those sorts of ideas, and it can all be done automatically, so the customer doesn't have to be involved or think about it or pushing buttons or telling us what to do. We just set it up in advance. Same with charging your EV. We can move that energy around, and there's quite a lot you can do with solar and batteries. So these are the sorts of ideas that we're working through that will save customers money and I think further enhance the Meridian brand. So there's a lot of stuff on the customer front that I'm just super chuffed with, and a lot more opportunity going forward.
To finish, Neal, any regrets?
There's no point in having regrets. There's a few things I would have liked to have got done that it probably won't happen on my watch. I'm very determined that Rere Hau will be one of those. Will get done, not one that wouldn't. No, I would have liked to have moved faster, if anything. But it is hard, it's complex. It's very difficult getting a project of this scale consented in New Zealand. Meridian's never had a consent turned down. We always do the right thing by both the environment, by the communities in and around who operate in and around these sort of large scale electricity generation plants. But it takes time.
It's hard too, isn't it?
And it's expensive.
Yeah, because Contact's been kicked back in Christchurch for a big solar.
Yeah, down in the deep south. I don't know all the facts, all the ins and outs around that. It'll be disappointing for them. Like I say, we've never been kicked back, but we've had to go through the hoops, and we need to find a way to streamline that. Companies like Meridian, Contact, and others, we need to do the right thing by the environment. You need to be trusted to be able to do that, but we need to speed up the whole process if we're going to, successfully decarbonise the economy, and we will. We will. It's happening. The government's working on it. We're all working on it. It's happening. It's just this pesky little problem with gas that we've got at the moment. But like I say, and I don't want to understate that because it is significant. But it will be resolved, and it's projects exactly like Rere Hau that will make all the difference.
So you'll be watching from the sidelines, but doing a fair bit more fishing, and leisure time is going to be where it's at from now on.
Pretty well, but I think the Air New Zealand board will keep me busy.
Yes. A few challenges there.
Yeah, and I was sitting next to someone I barely knew on a plane the other day who was pointing out some improvements that I could take back to the board. So, you get that, I think, being an Air New Zealand ambassador in our country, because that company is so important to us all. And the chorus, borders is also really exciting. Connectivity is everything, and they are, they run the fibre network in this country that connects us all. So, I've tried to choose businesses that matter, and there are two that do, and Meridian obviously is one that does.
Well, we wish you all the best, Neal. Thank you for coming in today and talking to us. And thanks everyone for tuning in. You can watch Shared Lunch on YouTube or follow us on your favourite podcast app. Leave us a rating and tell us what you'd like to hear next. Mā te wā.